So how can body image shape us? This video today is going to be examining how body image can play an important part in our mental well-being. What springs to mind when we think about what body image is? Well, the definition can simply be put as the way in which we see our bodies, including the thoughts and feelings that come with this view. So what can this mean for us? Well, how we think and feel about our bodies and the way they look can affect our mental health in both a positive and negative way. The chase for perfection can sometimes make us feel that we aren't good enough, causing us to worry. And this chase to reach perfection can sometimes lead us to develop a negative body image. So this can actually involve being overly focused on comparing your size, shape, or appearance to unrealistic ideals. Who can this affect? Well, views about our bodies can start as early as 3 to 4 years old. Anyone, no matter what age, background, or gender, can have a negative body image. One survey by Be Real campaign showed that both boys and girls between the ages of 11 to 16 have reported body dissatisfaction, and that there are a growing number of teenagers that say body image causes them to worry. So why are young people being affected? During puberty, our bodies are undergoing drastic changes that we may notice. This alone can make us feel self-conscious and worry about how we may look. We can compare ourselves to our peers, especially if we want to feel accepted. And during our teenage years, we put a lot more value on the views of our friends. And these views can have a big impact on the way in which we measure our own worth. But friendship should never be based on what we look like. And it's important to remember that everyone's journey is different and people develop at different times. We pick up a lot of our beliefs from our families and caregivers. And when we develop, we learn beliefs by what we see, hear, and experience. And what happens at home is no exception. Our parents' and caregivers' views on how they view their bodies can sometimes influence the way in which we view our own. We can learn behaviours from our parents, such as eating habits and attitudes towards our bodies. But it is important to recognise when this is happening and try to encourage more positive views and attitudes. Past and current experiences can also contribute to the way in which we view our bodies. Bullying, for one, can add to the thinking that something is wrong with our bodies. Those who are bullied can experience heightened levels of anxiety, low self-esteem, low mood, and low self-worth. And these experiences can fuel a negative body image. And it's just important to remember that if you are being bullied, please remember that it is not your fault. Confide in someone you trust and be honest about your feelings. This clip of Lisa trying to pick clothes is most likely quite familiar. Some of you may have experienced this firsthand, but it actually shows the effects of another large aspect of our daily lives that can affect the way in which we think we should look like. We're surrounded by images of people daily. Whether it be on the tube, Netflix, or social media, we are constantly being shown images of other people's bodies. Unfortunately, it can seem unavoidable and can lead us to constantly comparing ourselves and developing an idea of what we think we should look like. A study done in the US showed a high percentage of men and women who compared themselves to images that they saw in the media. Social media has become a massive part of modern life. Sometimes we can find ourselves scrolling out of boredom for long periods of time. But remember, the content we see, especially in relation to physiques and influencer culture, can have an effect on how happy we are with ourselves. Social media is actually a highlight reel, because you don't see all the in-between bits, and it isn't real life. and this can lead us to compare aspects of our lives, especially if we are having a tough time. This can lead to dissatisfaction. And some influencers also promote different products that promise drastic changes in the way that we look. But remember, social media has no fact check, so they could be trying to sell you anything. And remember, you see what they want you to see. And fitness profiles can promote physiques that aren't attainable without the use of performance-enhancing drugs and surgery. Another factor that can influence how we see our own bodies is the culture of the country or area in which we live. We may come from a different culture, and this can sometimes add to the feeling of not fitting in, especially if we feel like our body ideal doesn't fit the cultural norm. But remember, just because we don't feel that we fit the body expectations of one culture, it doesn't mean that our bodies are worth any less. We are all unique, and there is no one ideal. So we've spoken a bit about why we may find ourselves being preoccupied with the way that we look. But how does this actually affect our mental health? So how can a negative body image affect our mental well-being? Well, it can lower our confidence. We may withdraw and isolate ourselves from our friends. We may have critical self-thoughts. We may have increased anxiety, or even poor self-perception, low mood. So it may be hard for us to find the drive to do things that we used to enjoy, or even do daily tasks. And a negative body image can really affect our self-esteem. What are some of the things that you may notice if someone's mental health is being affected? Well, they may be being bullied for the way that they look, or peers may be making negative comments. They may have changes in social functioning or interaction. So we spoke before about withdrawal, isolating, may not want to talk to friends anymore, maybe refusing types of food because of how it may affect weight. They may want to cover up parts of the body because of feeling self-conscious. They may have changes in mood, or they may feel overly worried about how they look. So sometimes these thoughts of dissatisfaction can get stronger, and they can lead us to try and change the way that we look through any means necessary. This can sometimes be a sign that we are slipping into behaviours that can cause us more mental and physical harm. It's important to be aware of these signs. Some to look out for are missing meals, avoiding eating any foods that they see as fattening, or believing that they're overweight when they're a healthy weight or even underweight. Another sign to look out for is the use of weight loss pills or laxatives, and especially in relation to gym culture, steroid use. Binges in eating. These can sometimes be followed by purging, which is making oneself sick afterwards. So some of the behaviours in the middle of this diagram, if unchecked, can make some people slip into more distressing conditions on the right. Some of you may have heard of them. What we aim for is to gently guide ourselves back into the circle on the left, in which we have a healthy level of body acceptance and healthier eating habits. So what role does self-esteem have in body image? Well, having negative peer influences, exposure to social media, and a negative family view can make it difficult for us to be accepting of ourselves. This can lead to us being trapped in cycles. So in this diagram we refer to it as a vicious cycle. And here we can see that the way in which we think about our bodies can play into our self-esteem, maybe thinking that other people are better than ourselves, especially if we're comparing ourselves daily. This then leads into our mental health being affected, maybe feeling overwhelmed and low. So we want to really think about, how do we improve our self-esteem? So there are many steps that we can take to improve our well-being. Some can be easier than others, but the most important thing is having a go and trying out some of the methods. So what can we do? Well, we can do activities that make us feel good. This could be something physical like football, or even other hobbies like guitar. We can set goals for ourselves. And it's generally a good idea to start with smaller goals, and once we achieve these, we can build up to greater ones. And just remember to give ourselves a little reward too. We can be open and honest with those that we trust. And this will help to build supportive relationships, so we have a bit of backup for when we do feel overwhelmed. We can make plans. This can give us things to look forward to, which can give us a boost and can help to improve our mood. We can notice the things that we're doing well, which is easier said than done, but a way in which we can help this is by keeping a diary of what went well in the week, which can remind us of the positives. And also, we can offer support to those who may be being bullied. So what does self-care mean? We've spoken about some activities that may help us lift our well-being. But here are some examples of what self-care means. It can be something that refuels us rather than takes from us. It can be something that we enjoy and allows us to escape whatever is troubling us. It isn't a selfish act. It's rather about knowing what we need to do in order to take care of ourselves. And most importantly, self-care is actually in itself an activity, and we need to plan it. It won't just happen. We need to make some time and make a short plan about what we're going to do. By creating a self-care plan, we can identify activities that we can use to support our well-being. It can be helpful to break these activities down into categories: physical, emotional, social, and practical. And here I have a template of a way in which we can plan what we do. As you can see, it's split up into physical, emotional, social, and practical. Some examples here: taking some time away from technology, or even going for a 20-minute walk. For emotional, we can write 3 good things that we did each day to remind us of the positives. We can speak to a friend about how we feel. Social, we can speak to some friends online, or even some social gaming. Or we can meet up with some friends. Practical activities, we can make a plan for the day. And even something like getting showered and dressed each morning, which, if we're suffering from a bit of low mood, can actually be quite a daunting task. And social media self-care is important also. So whilst we can't really avoid social media, we can take steps to make sure that we're following pages that show realistic body expectations and influencers that celebrate body positivity and are honest about how they've achieved their looks. And we hope by taking these steps, we can guide ourselves back into a healthier cycle of thought around body image. So how can I help if I'm worried about someone? Well, what we can do is just ask if things are okay and if there's anything that someone wants to talk about. We can educate ourselves about the effects of negative body image and recognising the signs and factors that might contribute to someone having a negative body image. And this will lead us to kind of stopping the body talk so we don't get preoccupied with it. And lastly, make sure you're always there to listen and support them, as this can be one of the most powerful tools in making someone feel supported. Reaching out for help can be a scary thing to do, but just know that it's the first step in getting support, as a negative body image can affect our lives in a variety of ways, and these feelings can lead us to try and cope in ways that can be both harmful to our physical and mental health. It's important to recognise the signs. Charity services can educate and lend support and advice. Telephone services can do similar. And GP services can lend a friendly ear and even refer on to other services, such as those that we have at the South London and Maudsley. Some people may start to feel that their low mood and anxiety are getting to the stage where it's starting to be overwhelming. And what we aim to do at the Southwark Children and Young People's Wellbeing Team is equip you with the tools to cope by working alongside you, listening to you, for 8 sessions, once a week. And together we can help you understand your difficulties and what help you want. You can get support from us through a referral by your GP or school.